Welcome, everybody, to the Building Aaronsburg podcast. I'm Thomas Aaronsburg,
And I'm Catherine Aaronsburg.
and today we're going to take on the phrase, this too shall pass.
My favorites. One of my favorites.
Right. You have a couple.
Yeah. My other favorite is bloom where you're planted. And I think both of these loosely come from the Bible.
Mhm.
Maybe not perfect phrases and quotes. We won't go and try to look up where it came from because that could be we might get lost in that. But
Yes.
but yes, I think both of them are loosely from the Bible and they are huge in my life. So we'll start with this too shall pass. And I think so often most people hear that phrase and they think of almost like suffering through something.
Right. The bad times.
The bad times, yeah, suffering through. But I would like to pose that we all start to look at it in bad and good times. So I've got it in the back of my mind all the time. And that's because even in good times, I think this is gonna be over at some point. This too shall pass, and I need to enjoy it while it's here. Which is not. I'm not great at that. I'm not good at living in the moment.
I don't know that either of us are. I don't think I am really either.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that I recognize it more quickly than you do,
Mm-hmm.
but when it's happening, I don't think that I realize it for what it is. And the thing that I always go back to is the year that we won the state championship. That's like it's like a goal that every high school kid ever has. But then also as a coach, it's a goal that every coach ever has.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been coaching for, I don't know, close to 10 years maybe at the time, a little less than that or around that. And we won our first state championship. And I remember like when it happened, I was excited, like, yeah, we won. But like as soon as it was done, I was like, all right, let's clean the field up. We got something
Yeah,
else to do.
I for sure have that issue, and worse than you do. Like even a year removed, I'm not regretful that I didn't do when it comes to work things. Now, personal things are a little different, I think, because there will even be times where I think that I don't want to be doing something necessarily. So I'm not suffering in a way where like this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know, something
I don't
really
know. I mean,
really bad.
when the kids were young and you were at home with 3 kids in diapers and
Pregnant with another one.
yeah, I mean, well, I guess not all 3 were in diapers at the same time, but two at a time were.
Yes, and I think that so that could go one of two ways. There is always somebody who would come up to me, as we've discussed in previous podcasts, that'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna miss this when it's gone," and I got irritated about it.
Yeah.
And it was never a matter of me wishing it away because there was plenty of people who were like, "Oh, I can't wait till they're all out of diapers. I can't wait until they're all able to do X, Y, and Z." I never did that.
Mm-hmm.
Ever, ever, ever. I always said, "It is so hard right now. It is so hard." I recognized how hard it was, but I also was not going to wish it away. Not because I was particularly enjoying it, but you just have to live life. It's part of your learning. It's part of experiencing life. And to wish it away just seems like robbing yourself of some experience that could possibly help me later on down the road.
Sure.
I mean, all of that stuff, we all suffer and go through things and experience things, even if they're not suffering, in order to teach us something or to, possibly learn. And of course, I've never been through anything like there are things that happen in people's lives that I think that are worth wishing that they had never happened.
Right.
Of course, that has never happened to us. Thank goodness that that's never happened. But of course, I mean, I was in years of what most people would consider lonely, miserable, time, unappreciated, to be at home with 4 little kids, just living their lives, But during that time, I remember feeling like this is a season. It's a big chunk of time, right? It's not just, it's not like I'm in pain for some reason, I'm having cramps or I'm, whatever, like this too shall pass. You can kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But when you're going through something that takes that long to raise children, I mean, we're still going through it.
It's hard to see that there is a finish line, really.
Seeing that pinpoint, pin end of a pin of light in the end of the tunnel is nearly impossible.
Right.
But that's all kind of the negative stuff. I will say that looking at the positive things as this too shall pass, that little soft skin they have, when they're
Right.
little. Like, I look back at the videos, the kids love to look back at their little videos that we took of them when they were little,
Yeah.
and I see the videos of you, like, holding the kids and flipping them around, and I can, like, remember what their skin felt like. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking
What they
about?
smelled like too.
What I wasn't even thinking about the smell, I was thinking about what their skin felt like. I was thinking about how, the weight of their body was distributed when they were
Yeah.
little. Like, if you were to, like, flip them one way, you just know how it feels, and, like, to hold
Right.
a baby in your arms, like, you know how it feels. You just have that memory,
Yeah.
and
All
I
of it
don't wanna
comes
wish
back
all
to
that
you.
stuff
Sure.
away, and, of course, I'm looking back at this stuff with rose-colored glasses. People who are raising their kids right now are listening to me going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, lady, like, you're that person in the parking lot who's stopping people." I
Yeah.
would never do that. I would never stop someone in the parking lot and say, "You're gonna
You're
miss
gonna miss
this."
these
Oh
times.
god, it was the worst. I hated that.
Yeah.
But all I'm doing is kind of suggesting the idea that within your own mind, you're developing that mentality that it's okay for it to be this too shall pass. We will get past this. We will get through it.
Right.
But at the same time, also think this too shall pass, and I need to enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that goes for everything from really long scale things like raising kids to, you know, going on a road trip with maybe somebody you don't want to be in the car with for 4 hours, but then
Sure.
you think maybe I'll never see this person again. I mean,
Right.
one of the biggest regrets I have is um one of our friends from high school became a police officer and was killed, not
Mm.
in the line of duty, but he was killed. And the last time I saw him, I was on the phone with a client. He drove by in his cruiser. He stopped to talk to me, and I was on the phone, and I told him I couldn't talk to him. I had to talk to the client.
Right.
Regret of my life. So now when I talk to people and they go on and on and on, or like they interrupt my day, like I was going somewhere and I see them in
Right.
the store, I will always stop and talk to them and spend time with them because I always have Brandon in the back of my head
Yeah.
that I didn't.
You wish you'd taken even 15 seconds just to.
Yeah, he was
How you
dead. He
doing?
was dead a month later.
Yeah.
Like, he died while we were out of town. We were in Italy when he died.
Yeah.
And so, you know, these are all life experiences that you have to have for yourself in order to form all these things, but I still always have that this too shall pass. But now I look at it in so many different ways, in the more positive light than than just suffering through,
Yeah.
because I think it is more than just suffering.
Yeah. I mean, I would say when I hear that phrase, I don't think of the. I don't know. I don't think of it as like the good things are gonna pass too. I always see it.
In the negative way?
Yeah. Like you know.
It may not be a common way to look at it. I don't know. I'm not a Pollyanna. There's no, I mean, it's not like I'm like everything is happy and bright lights all the time,
Right.
but I do try to be super aware of.
Well, how do you look back on that time? You know, from the time that we had our first one up until the time that our last one really kind of left to start school is probably a 8-year period, maybe.
Yeah.
How do you look back at those times now? I mean, I know that at the time it was every day was just a chore.
Yeah. I can say I never wished it away. I never wished that they were older or different, or I recognized even in that time, I know a lot of people would have said something like, and I heard people say, I can't wait till they're all out of diapers. I can't wait till they're all
Yeah.
in school, so I'll have a little time to myself. I never did that.
Yeah.
Ever, ever. I recognized even at that time that it sucked. It was so hard. It was
Right.
so hard and so lonely. But I knew I shouldn't wish it away. And I just remember how bad of a job I thought I was doing. Not with like raising them into adults, which is what we talk about more now,
Right.
but just like the daily day to
Managing
day.
of their schedules and that kind of thing.
I look back at pictures now and I'm like, holy mackerel, I was more put together then than I am now. Like, the fact that they always had coordinating, not within children, but like each child had matching clothing on. Like,
Right.
they looked like they coordinated. They weren't hot messes. They were always clean. They always had their hair brushed and done.
Right.
They looked, and I always thought that I looked like a hot mess express at all times.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I looked like I was just always like tumbling out of a car, or like that was the perception that I thought I was giving off. And now that I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, people must have thought,
You're super mom.
yeah.
I think you were getting comments like that all the time, and you just were completely brushing them off your shoulder like,
As
"No,
a
I'm not,
But
lady.
fast
Like,
forward to
I
now,
can't
I do
even."
it now about everything. It doesn't matter,
Right.
like, I can't take a compliment to save my life. I just think that people are being overly nice, or I don't know. I just can't take a compliment. And that's the struggle for me. I'm real good at like, this too shall pass, looking at things in that positive way. It's more
Yeah.
my inability to really see myself. And I never compared myself to other moms ever. I don't think. I don't think I ever said, well, she does it this way. I wish I could do. It was never that. It was just like, I'm doing this thing. I'm sticking my nose to the grindstone, and I felt so crazy internally. I
Right.
think so. I think that I thought that people were perceiving that,
Yeah.
and maybe they weren't. Because looking back, I'm like, I was starting a business with 4 little children at home. We didn't have much money, so
Right.
it's not like I had help to do anything.
Yeah. It was all you.
And now, I mean, again, now I'm like, gosh, I didn't have a cell phone back then. It had internet on it. Like, I had internet on a computer. And I'm like, internet has ruined everything for me. I walk around on my phone all day long, social media all day long. I'm talking to people, I'm typing to people, I'm taking video, I'm doing all these different things. And that is what eats up the time that I previously used to like get stuff done
I mean, I
and
think
make
you're
it
still getting
happen.
stuff done. It's just not the same stuff. You're not having to get kids dressed in the morning and make them breakfast and then make sure their snack is at this time and then lunch and then nap and then up from nap so that they don't sleep too long for dinner and
Yeah,
those
all
are
the
things you're
tabs.
having to focus on.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had time for all the things that you're doing right now
Yeah.
in
You always
in
fill your
that season.
time. We've talked about this before on other, making excuses and all this stuff.
Right.
Um, yeah, I certainly would not. I don't know. I either would have just abandoned the children. I don't know what I would have
I
done.
don't think you would have done that. I think that
It would have been the same, no
yeah, I
matter
mean,
what.
social media existed back then. It's not like it didn't exist. You
That's
just weren't
true.
doing
I
it.
wasn't utilizing it for the business as
Right.
much. So anyway, that's this too shall pass. I just think that we need to. It's my favorite phrase, but
Yeah.
I think maybe it's my favorite phrase because of how it can be shifted and used in so many different, like every scenario it can be used. It's,
Good, bad, indifferent.
yeah,
You can
it can be
always
used.
just use it.
Yeah, you can always look at something as whatever moment I am in right now. It is going to go away
Right.
for good or for bad. It's going to go away.
Right.
So should I embrace that as I can get through this because it's hard, or should I embrace it as I need to sit here and with it for a minute and enjoy it because it's going to go away?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you
Even if it's, I mean, really, even if it's a moment that kind of sucks, you still there's something to be enjoyed in the suck sometimes. I don't know if you feel that way, but I really do feel that way sometimes. Like sometimes
well, it's
things
always
kind
relative
of
too,
suck, and
right?
it's like, but you know what? This is a good kind of suck.
It's all
Like I know I'm
relative.
getting better, or I know that this is
Yeah,
making me a
sure.
stronger person, or whatever.
There's working out and being in pain, and then it's going to make you improve.
No, but
There's that kind of thing.
even like getting up to change diapers in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like I'm a better dad now because I've done that. I didn't
Sure,
let my
of
kid
course.
lay in bed in their soiled
You've
diaper.
experienced something too.
Right. So
Everybody
there's
grows closer
I
together.
mean, I don't think I think that at the time. There's no way I'm waking up at 3:00, half
You're not
awake.
thinking anything at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
I mean, you're literally. Well, I was literally catching baby poop in my hands
Yep.
as
I was
infants.
catching it in the face probably.
You caught pee in the
It-
face at least once. It was like a
worked.
movie. It was just like a
really
movie
was.
where the baby pees in the dad's face, and you're like, that never happens. No,
Yeah.
that happened
No,
at
it
Tom.
happened.
I think you were
Happened to me.
sleeping when it happened too.
I was not sleeping. I was laying down.
Oh.
Probably trying to sleep. But
Didn't see it coming is all I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I don't know why we're all about my favorite phrases today, but my other favorite phrase is bloom where you're planted. And that one, I think is kind of a wormhole. Wormhole? Is that what they call it?
I don't know where you're going, so I don't know.
A worm
I don't know.
wormhole, I think, in your brain where it's kind of in there. And I learned it as a kid. It was a song in church when we were a kid. Bloom where you're planted, you will find a way.
Okay. We didn't sing that one. Was that in the old Glory and Praise?
It was in the old Glory and Praise
we
of
didn't sing
Corpus
that
Christi.
one.
Yeah. So Bloom Where You're Planted. And I think that I loved the song when I was a kid because all those Glory and Praise songs were just the best.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure anybody pre-Vatican II is like, they were the worst. But
Yes,
to kids in the
probably
80s, those songs were the jam.
Right.
And
church is fun.
Church is fun. And so so there's a song called Bloom Where You're Planted. And so I think I knew the song and it didn't really mean a lot because you're singing the words, you're not really like analyzing what the lyrics of the song are.
Right.
But as I grew older, I started thinking, bloom where you're planted. And then I would see, one time I took a picture of a surprise lily, a spider lily. It was growing in the crack of a parking lot, asphalt parking lot close to school.
Mm-hmm.
Asphalt parking lots, as you guys know, super hot.
Yep.
If anything can survive in an asphalt parking lot, and this thing was blooming in the crack of the asphalt parking lot. So the bulb had somehow gotten there, I don't know, and come up through the crack. And I thought, bloom where you're planted. Holy mackerel. Like, for whatever reason, that's when it really hit me that whatever circumstance you're in, whatever blooming means, right? Blooming doesn't mean the same as you
right.
or him
Sure.
or her. Blooming is being successful or putting your best forward no matter where you've come from.
Right.
And
or
what
where
level
you are.
Level you started at. I am
Right.
a stay-at-home mom of 4 kids, and dang it, I'm going to have a TV show.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. Like, what's stopping me? We live in America. We are extremely blessed and lucky to live in a place where I can just wake up and say, that is what I'm doing, and think I'm going to do it.
Right.
Be sure I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it have nothing to do with anything other than me, the drive that I have inside of me to bloom.
Yeah.
And so, man, that gets me so fired up and so driven.
I think the flower in the asphalt is a great metaphor, but it was more than figurative here. I mean, it literally happened.
It literally happened. Yeah.
If a plant can come and sprout up and bloom in these impossible conditions,
why can't I?
Yeah, why can't I? In whatever conditions I'm in, is however impossible as they may seem. Why can I not do that?
There's no one standing over the flower saying you can't do it. So there's that.
Sure.
But then that is just your brain allowing someone to tell you what you can and can't do. Again, we live in a place where you're really only limited by the limits that you put on yourself and what you allow to be put on you from other people who tell you what you can or cannot do.
Yeah, I like that phrase. I mean, I don't know that
you never thought about it?
I know that you have those phrases because you have a T-shirt that says "Bloom Where You're Planted." You had a sign somewhere in our house too. I swear that said that.
No, it said "This too shall pass." It was in my old office, you guys. When I first started working and starting my business, it was not an office. It was next to the hot water heater. It was like a closet.
It was a closet.
It was a small closet too. Yeah. When I say closet, it was hilarious. So I keep kind of sidestepping here, but on your taxes, when you have your own business, you can deduct some of your home as your home office. Right. And I remember measuring off the closet that I was using.
Look, as small as that house was, though,
to get a tax deduction, and I was like, whatever the minimum, I think there's a minimum, and I was way under it, and I was like, oh, like, the government is not gonna.
Do they go by square footage or like percentage of your house? Because percentage of your house, it's probably about the same as what we got going on right now.
Come on,
that house was really small.
That is not true.
That closet,
it was small, but oh my, I just remember entering it under my TurboTax. I'm like, this is kind of.
TurboTax laughed at you.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute, your office is 3 feet by 5 feet. Like, was it even that big? It may have been 1.5 feet by.
No, it probably was 3 by 5. I bet that is what it is.
It was small, and I shared it with a hot water heater.
I think it was originally a pantry that the hot water heater was in, and you could, like a walk-in kind of pantry kind of thing.
I loved it, though. I had my own space. It was great. I felt like I was big stuff.
You had a curtain you could pull across and close your closet off.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything past that curtain.
I put a ceiling fan in there, so it had to be whatever the smallest ceiling fan that they make.
If you've ever gone into a home improvement store and you look at the ceiling fans and you go, what in the stupid is that teeny tiny little
10-inch blade?
What is that ceiling fan? Guess what? I did that.
It's Catherine's office ceiling fan.
I walked in there and I was like, this is the dumbest looking ceiling fan until we moved into a house and I got my own office and I had a computer and a monitor and a printer
And a hot water heater.
and a hot water heater all in the space. It was hot. It was so hot in there, and that curtain was really thermal and insulating. And so I had to have a ceiling fan in there to cool things down. I think my computer would have blown up, and that was the one we had to buy because anything else would have hit the walls.
Yeah.
Because it was
Yes.
so small.
And I will bet when we bought that, we were like, we better measure this. I don't know if I'm going to make it.
And then eventually I moved out to the she shed is what they call them now. But
Right.
I shared my office with a lot of bikes, a lot of tools, a lot of equipment.
Musical instruments.
Oh, I forgot the musical instruments.
Yep, there were guitars and drum sets and
Oh my goodness.
everything else in there.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose room.
And then we moved to this house, and we built an office for me, and then I've abandoned it, and now I work from an actual office that I rent.
Right. So you're blooming everywhere that you're planted. You've been planted in a lot of different spots.
I expect a lot from myself. A lot. Obviously, I mean, again, looking back at the way I felt about what I was doing with the kids, and then I look back at pictures, and I'm like, they were little baby Gap models all the time. And guys, don't get me wrong, I was not buying them expensive clothing. It wasn't that. Literally yard sales and hand-me-downs was all they wore when they were little.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted them to look precious all the time. And I don't think I don't know. I put some sort of standard on myself that I don't remember putting. But I look back and I'm like, oh, that's a good job.
I remember that standard was there because I remember how much time you would take putting together outfits. And I'm like, no one cares. Put them in a onesie and let's get out the door. But there was always.
But looking back now, I'm glad I did
it.
I
know.
I mean, they looked
super adorable now that you look back.
Yeah. I don't need my kids looking a mess. But because I think to some extent I must have put the measure of my not motherhood, but like I felt like it was a reflection on me, and which I still feel like the way we raised our kids is always a reflection back on us, but I had it together. And not like I wanted it to look like I had it together. I had it together. I didn't feel like I did sometimes, but looking back, I did.
I agree.
I did.
So the other thing that makes me think about your first phrase, I was having a conversation with somebody about how I ended up in Mobile.
Yeah.
And in that conversation, I talked about how my dad was probably in his late 30s, close to 40. Maybe he was 40.
The age you are right now.
The age that I am right now. And I was in middle school, which is the age that our oldest son is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, who had lived in Hawaii, became a paramedic, worked his way up through the company, and was the vice president of operations for this ambulance company, making really good money and really good at his job. Decided his company sold to another company, and he decided to leave that world, moved to Alabama to become a teacher. He had never taught anything other than teaching us, stuff around the house, but he had never taught in a classroom setting or had any teacher training.
Mm-hmm.
And he just dropped everything.
Your dad's a very faithful man.
And he has to be. He had to be.
To the point, I cannot imagine at the age we're at right now with 4 children. He had 7 children at that time.
Right.
Moving across the country. Now, he was moving to his dad, so he knew someone here. It wasn't like he was moving to a place where he didn't know anybody.
Yeah, but he was
going to
start a profession that he had never attempted before. And teaching's one of those professions, I'm sure you've probably heard, that you either make it or you don't, and you find that out the first month or so that you're there.
Yeah.
And most people feel like the first month that you start teaching, you feel like you're an absolute failure. You'll never make it. This is awful. Get me out of here. I don't want to do this anymore.
I know we're about to be on Mother's Day tomorrow. We're recording this on a Saturday. We'll release on Monday. Yes, we record. Yeah, we do a quick turnaround. But I would love to talk to your dad when we see him tomorrow about how he felt about that. Was he scared? Was he, how did that first week go? If he remembers, if he thought, oh yes, I can do this.
Most people that first week, when I remember my first week teaching, I was like, I'm the best teacher that God's ever created, and I'm going to show the world. And by the first month, you're like, I'm the worst teacher that God's created. And
I think you stuck with that feeling for a while, too.
Get me out of here. Get me out of this profession.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's so interesting about all of that and how this ties into what we were talking about is, so I was 13-ish, my dad was 38-ish, 40-ish, and my grandfather was probably late 50s, 60s,
Mm-hmm.
early 60s. Well, that's where we are now. My
Your
dad's
dad's
in
now
his
in his
60s.
60s.
I'm in my late 30s to 40, and our kids are almost teenagers.
Yeah.
But it
Time
doesn't,
marches on, man.
yeah, I mean, like, it just, it just passes. Time just passes. And
Yeah.
um, it's just kind of an interesting, I guess, reflection, maybe, might be a good word for it. That,
So a phrase that I don't love, we talked about all the phrases I do love. A phrase I don't love is, it all just goes in the blink of an eye.
yeah,
You hear that around here a lot.
yeah,
Well, I think all people say that. It's just particularly said the way I just said it in a country voice.
right,
It all just goes in the blink of an eye. I don't feel that way. And I think it could partially be because of the way that I have always felt the need to kind of just like not rush it through,
right,
not wish it away. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. But I feel like we've been married for 15 years. Like,
right.
it's been a long time.
It doesn't feel like a blink of an eye.
It does not feel like a blink of an eye that
I
our
get, but
kids were
I
little.
think why people think that though is because I think it feels like you could blink your eyes and go back to
You think
that
so? That's what
time.
that phrase means?
Yeah, I think it's
I always thought it was
it's a
because,
looking back, not a looking forward. But maybe it is a looking forward. Like, you'll blink your eyes and you'll be 60.
yeah. I thought that that phrase was for people who felt like life moves so fast, and it does. They always
Yeah,
say what is it? The days are short and the days are
days are
long
long
and
and
the
the years
years
are
are
short.
short is what
Yeah,
they say. And that phrase is true, but at the same time, like, I don't feel like our children were babies yesterday. And maybe
right.
that's just something people say. I don't know, but I don't feel that way.
No, but I do feel like I could close my eyes and go back to that time very
Absolutely.
quickly
Absolutely.
when
We
they were
lived it.
all
But
really
we
young.
lived it, and we lived it, right? Like,
Right.
we were here for it. We didn't
We didn't try to escape it or
No.
drink it away or
Right. We
whatever.
were here for it. We
Yeah,
acknowledged it was here. We were present for it. And I think that that's probably what I'm realizing is the most important.
would you say that generally you're a person that loves life? I mean, do you think that's a part of it? Because, like, I think about when our kids were when they were little. I loved when they were that little.
I have
I
not loved
loved it.
any no, I have not loved any state. I don't
And the age that they are now, I love the age that they're at right
Yeah,
now. Like, where
yeah.
you can kind of have conversations a little bit with
I've
them.
always said that it is what it is. Like, I don't
Yeah,
it's like when people we've had this conversation before too. People will get behind the wheel of a car and they'll be like, "I love driving that car. I love like something
yeah.
about the way it feels when I drive it. I don't care. Like, it's a car, whatever, as long as it doesn't smell like
I'm one of
smoke."
those people.
You are one of those people, and
Yeah.
that's great. That's fine.
Like, when I get in your truck and I hit the gas pedal and it goes,
And it
I'm
makes your
like,
head hit the back of the
yes,
seat. You love it.
love that feeling.
So there is that's just my personality, is that there is not any time that I'm like, yes, this is the jam, you know? Like, there's great moments,
Right.
but I would say overall I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
I feel like I'm.
You're the opposite.
Yeah,
So I guess to answer
'cause
your question,
I
I
think,
don't love life. Of course I
yeah,
love life. I don't want to be dead. I
yeah.
mean, the alternative's not good. Um,
No, but I mean, maybe you're not that you not. I guess it's not like you have to be like, I love life or I hate life. I
Look,
mean, I don't think that
we
that's
know people that, like, everything that they do is like a celebration, or they're like
right.
so excited about
I don't feel about
everything.
yeah. I don't
And
know
I'm
that
not.
I'm not that far.
We
I'm not
have
a celebrator of life, I guess.
we have friends who everything is just like so exciting for them. I wish I could be that person.
Right.
I'm just not that person.
I'm not either.
And I think I just have to at some point you have to just embrace who you are. As long as I'm not like really depressed, like have a mental issue, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody's different and everybody experiences things different. But I will say, I'm proud to say that we both have lived and remember all this stuff, so it doesn't feel like I jetted through it.
Right.
I felt like I had a healthy balance of, I'm with the children now. I'm working a little bit just because I needed to have some sort of outlet. Because when you're a stay-at-home mom, It doesn't matter. Everybody needs an outlet.
It
It doesn't
job
matter.
you're at.
Everybody needs something outside of raising children or
The 9 to 5.
the 9 to 5 or whatever. You have to have something.
Right.
And for me, that was building a business. That has been my hobby for 15 years now. It just is. People ask me what my hobby is. I say it's building a business. They roll their eyes at me. It's a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Not necessarily drawing landscape plans.
Sure.
But the act of building a business and making strategies for how we're going to grow it, that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
And so when I had kids at home, that's how I had a little outlet. And so I dedicated 95% of my time to them, and I dedicated 5% to the business because I was very hands-on in making sure all their meals were cooked and they were dressed and,
keeping a schedule.
All that stuff. Oh, gosh, the schedule is so important. So all those things were done. And then as they started to go to school, the oldest went to school, and the second and the third, they were all so close together that they all quickly were within 4 or 5 years.
It was very seasonal for you. I don't know that everyone else gets the seasons like you.
And we intentionally did that. We not to say that everything we've ever done has a special intent. We
accidentally did it on purpose.
We did it on purpose. Well, we did. You're right. We did accidentally do it on purpose. I tell people all the time, if we had to choose it, I probably never would have had children. Not that I didn't want children. It was just
if you were waiting for the right time, there was never going to be
a right time, and I didn't know that then. I know that now, but I didn't know it then, and we never had a plan for. Well, we don't want to have kids until because some people have a plan. Like I don't want to do it until I have a certain number of. I graduate or I have
have this title at my job.
Have this much money in the bank. I have, whatever. I've traveled this month. Whatever it is. We never had those goals.
Sure.
But it was a matter of I'm never going to be the person that's going to say, okay, let's go have a baby. So God gave us a baby, and then He gave us another one, and then another one, and then another one. And then I was like, let me figure out how to.
Yeah, we need to stop this.
How to
stop this train.
This train. Stand on the opposite side of the room. Way far away. Oh, wait, I'm pregnant again? Okay, you're going to have to stand further away now. Even further away. And so, anyway, once they started stair-stepping up to getting to school, then my business went from 95% kids and 5% business to 80 and 20, and then 50-50, and then, all this stuff. And so now at this point, I would say I'm closer to...
Well, you're doing your business full time. You wake up, the kids are off to school, you're going to work.
Yeah, I'm still a mom, so I still, if the kids have to be picked up or dinner, I cook dinner every night, so I would say we're back, the weight, the teeter-totter went from super high with kids and super low with business, and now it's the opposite direction because they're so much more able to take care of themselves now. They're gone most of the day, so the amount of hours I'm actually having to dedicate to specifically caring for them is much lower.
Right.
And so I always lived in knowing that this 5% of work and 95% of children is going to pass. So enjoy the 95% while you got it here.
Yeah, enjoy it the best you can.
The best you can. Guys, I don't want to back. I don't want to be in that position again.
Yeah.
Where I've got 4 babies at home.
Nor would you wish it on anybody.
No, it's not that. It's just the perspective of it, I think.
Yeah.
And
you're in it, you just embrace the suck. That's a phrase you hear a lot.
Yes, embrace the suck.
It sucks, but you're just going to embrace it.
Yeah. It's teaching you something. You don't know it yet, but it's teaching you things.
Well, and all the people in the grocery store were right. You're not going to get this time back, and you are. I don't know if you're necessarily going to miss it, but you'll look back on those with.
But I think we can all realize it for ourselves. I want to kick you in your teeth when you tell me that in a grocery store, lady that doesn't know my struggle.
Right.
Right? I am not telling you, audience, that you're going to miss it. You might not miss it.
Right.
It's okay to not miss it.
Right.
Everybody else has their own individual thing that they want to be doing or not doing or whatever. There's nothing wrong with not missing it. All I'm saying is, in order for you to get through it, remember that it will pass. So that's our conversation on This Too Shall Pass / Bloom Where You're Planted. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can send us a message at Building Aaronsburg on Instagram. We're also at Building Aaronsburg on Facebook. And our email is buildingaaronsburg@gmail.com. Until next time, bye y'all.
Bye y'all.